look over there. Hey! See, is that the son of that lady?
Thank you for allowing me to speak today as we pay tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice on the dreadful morning of 9/11. There are several events in my life which I will never forget. They are etched in my mind, and I can recall them with crystal clear, frame-by-frame playback. Where I was when the events of 9/11 unfolded is one of those events, and I'm sure the same is true for almost all of you here today. I was stationed in San Diego at the time, and I was getting dressed for work as I turned on the television just as the plane crashed into the South Tower. Half dressed, I watched the events unfold at both the Pentagon and in Pennsylvania. I frantically tried to contact my family back on the East Coast as I received a phone call that my base had been closed down. Everything began happening so fast. I was glued to the television for the next 48 hours. I'm sure your stories are very similar. Nearly 3,000 victims perished in the 9/11 attacks. Among the 2,753 victims who died in the World Trade Center were 343 firefighters, 60 police officers, and 8 EMTs and paramedics. These brave first responders were on the battlefield that morning. They were on the front lines. They did not hesitate for a second. They answered the call to save lives. There's a deep kinship, a connection, if you will, between first responders and our armed forces. We share the responsibility of being the first line of defense when there's a problem. We provide swift and coordinated action with little notice in response to catastrophe. When a firefighter charges into a burning building, he is on the battlefield. When an EMT or paramedic is resuscitating a life en route to the hospital, he is on the battlefield. When a police officer is responding to a call, he is on the battlefield. Bottom line, each time first responders put on their uniforms, they are preparing to go in harm's way. President Reagan said, "Where do we find such men? Where do we find them?" Well, we find them where we've always found them. We find them in our streets, in the offices and shops, in the working places of our country, and on the farms. They are the product of the freest society man has ever known. I believe this quote is a great description of the heroes who perished that morning, the first responders who answer the calls today, and also our troops defending freedom at home and abroad right now. To close, Ronald Reagan gave a speech on the beaches of Normandy to commemorate the 40th anniversary of D-Day, where he said, "We will always remember. We will always be proud. We will always be prepared, so we may always be free." Thank you.